The person that we have on Movies That Matter for this week is Errol Morris. Can you believe that? There's so much synergy in this show that I think we will never reach that level again. If you want to find my full interview with Errol Morris, it's a video review, you can find that in the annotation that will appear here. And if you want to see the What the Flick review of Errol Morris's new film, Tabloid, you can find that in an annotation that will appear here. But anyway, I got to interview Errol Morris about his film and kind of about all of his films. I was such a fan. It was such an honor to get to meet him. And I asked him the question that I ask everyone in all of these interviews, along with other questions. I asked them if there were movies that really kind of shaped the way that they looked at the world. In Errol Morris's case, it was, considering these two main themes that are in all of his films of obsession and the search for truth. I asked him if there were movies that really kind of encapsulated that for him, made him really sort of go after those ideas or really sparked his interest in those ideas. He said some pretty interesting stuff, and I would like to think that we both learned something from this interview. So anyway, check out my segment here with Errol Morris. And I mean, in terms of these themes of like obsession and the search for truth, I was wondering if there were movies that you saw when you were maybe younger or starting out that you feel really addressed these well and really inspired you to like, oh, I want to kind of make a movie like that or with that type of power.
When I started becoming obsessed with movies when I was in my early 20s, I started to watch a lot of film noir movies from the late 40s and early 50s. There's a Robert Mitchum film that I love where he says, I could see the frame, but I couldn't see the picture. I hadn't thought of it before you mentioned it just now, but in Tabloid, there is a noir element. I would call it the essence of noir. On one hand, this obsession with inexorability and fate and destiny. Are we just trapped in some kind of infernal machine that produces a tragic outcome? The role of destiny. The role of destiny plays a very strong role in Tabloid. Did Joyce somehow create this tragedy for herself? And on the other hand, the mystery of people's lives, of what really is going on, of what happened, and the search for some kind of underlying reality. That's both, this is like, in a way, it's my ultimate movie because it has many of my themes floating around in it in one form or another. I think you could take, I don't even know how many movies I've made at this point, but it's a fair number. And I think you can see elements of almost every one of my movies in Tabloid.
you know, that's an individual case. There are many other cases